Guys, welcome back. Hope you all are doing well. This is Mohammad Badruddin back again with another lab from HTTP request smuggling vulnerability module, and today we are gonna solve lab number 10, where we are gonna see HTTP version 2 request smuggling via CRLF injection. So the lab description is saying this lab is vulnerable to request smuggling because the front-end server downgrades HTTP version 2 request and fails to adequately sanitize incoming headers. Okay. To solve the lab, use an HTTP version 2 exclusive request smuggling vector to gain access to another user's account. The victim accesses the home page every 15 seconds. So we need to take care of this timing. So if you are not familiar with Burp's exclusive features for HTTP version 2 testing, please refer to the documentation for more detail. We already handled this in the previous lab, so we are familiar with that. And there is a hint. So to inject new lines into the HTTP version 2 headers, we use the inspector to drill down into the header, and then we press shift plus return. That means shift plus enter key to basically drill down into the header for new line injection. That we will see in a moment. So I already opened up the lab here. This is our lab. And the most important part here is this one. So if we search something, let's say test, and search it, whatever you search, all the search terms are going to be stored somewhere or cached somewhere, which you can see here in this section that's saying recent searches. So if I search another thing, let's say cyber, so you can see all these search terms are basically showing here. Fine. And this is somewhere bind with the session cookie, because how this application is going to identify whether this is you and these terms are searched by you or some other users. This is the main thing. Okay. We will see that here also. So you can see all these are the post request, and we have, this is the get request. Okay. So first of all, how we can test this particular thing, whether it's bind with the session cookie or not. So if I go to the inspect and go to the storage, and here, if I just take out my, let's say session cookie to nothing and refresh the page, or go to the home. So you can see all the search terms are gone. And if I search something else, it comes here because the new session cookie has been allotted to this new session. So that means all these search terms are bind with the session cookie. Now think about it. This is also bind with other users. So the victim user is also bind with its search term by its session cookie. Fine. So back to here. First of all, I will take out the very first request, okay, of our search post request. This is the one. Okay. And we also need the get request. So I'm just gonna make sure that all these requests are the recent one, so we will not face any issue. Okay. And this is the new session cookie that's been allotted. So I'm gonna send this request to the repeater and go to the repeater. Then I don't need all of this. First of all, I'm gonna change the request method to post and make sure the HTTP version 2 is being set here, because the front-end server is supporting HTTP version 2, although it's gonna downgrade it later. So that's another thing. And we don't need all of these. Okay. And because the HTTP version 2 by default interpret content length, so we don't need to basically explicitly define it here. It's not important. Make sure the content length header is not auto updating the content length. And I'm gonna add here transfer encoding. Okay. Sorry, transfer encoding, and the value of it is chunk. Fine. Here I'm gonna add the chunk size 0. That means the message ends here, and the new request or the smuggled request start from here, and I'm gonna put here an invalid endpoint that is not exist, and http/1.1 because it's gonna downgrade it later on, and then I'm gonna say x ignore, and its value is gonna be x. Okay, so let's see, I'm gonna send the request, but before that I also want one more web root request here as a normal request. So this is our smuggled request. The expected result is not found once we send this request, and the next request when we send the normal request we should get not found. Okay, 200. Okay, and if we send the normal request we should get 404, but it's 200. Let's just test one more time. Send the normal request, 200. Okay, that means it's not working correctly, and the lab is saying here the front-end server downgrades HTTP version 2 request to fail to adequately sanitize incoming headers. Okay, fine. So what we can do is we can inject a header in our request, smuggled request. So I'm gonna delete the transfer encoding from here. Okay, and what we can do is go to the request header in the inspector section and add a new header. Here you can add any header, let's say test, and the value of this header is west and turn line feed /r/n, and then we have to press the shift key with enter so that it will okay, so we don't need to write it. Basically once you type shift key, once you press the shift key with enter, it will automatically add the turn line feeds, and then here we need to add transfer encoding, and the value of it is gonna be chunked. Okay, so we basically trying to inject a request header transfer encoding, and because the application is failing to adequately sanitize incoming headers, so we hope that the front-end server is not going to strip or normalize this thing. Okay, turn line feed. So add this one, and you can see here it's saying this HTTP version 2 request is scattered. It contains headers that cannot be fully represented using HTTP1 syntax. You can see full details of the request in the inspector. So basically you cannot see the request above, but it exists, and the burp suite does not know how to interpret this. Okay, but rest of the things exist. You can see all of these things exist. Okay, fine. So just send the request one time and go to the normal request, send it again, and you can see this time we get not found. So that means our smuggled request is working fine now. Now we have to go further to add here the smuggled request that we need to extract the request of the victim user. Okay, and for that purpose we need to bring here the post request. This was the last post request, so I'm gonna take this request to the repeater, go to the repeater, and what I don't need from here is all of these things. Okay, and also we don't need these. Okay, content length is 11. So let's see, I'm gonna say here 2. Okay, west 2, a new search term, and send the request. So once you send the request, it will assign a new session cookie, of course. And if we try to search west2, so you can see there is only one search term now, that is west2. If we try to search another term, west3, send the request. Now if you try to search west, so you will find here only west3 is here this time, because we did not specify any session cookie here, and every time it is assigning a new session cookie. Fine, that means this is working fine. And I'm gonna take this request, copy and paste it here in our smuggled as our smuggled request. One more important thing which we already saw in the previous labs, that if you want to extract the request of the victim users, so the request content, or it contain a lot of information like the headers, host, and the methods of the HTTP session cookies and all, with the rest of the data or rest of the information. So that's why you have to here specify the content length. Okay, and the content length, because whatever content length you add here, it's gonna read the data as according to that content length. So because if you see the content length of this specific post data, it contains only 12 characters. So you have 12 characters. So it will always show you, even if your smuggled request is working fine, it will just show you up to here. Okay, so you will get the result up to just here. Okay, but if you want to read more data, so you have to increase the content length. So it will basically capture the request from the victim user. So for this purpose, if you go to the normal request and you see the normal request that contains session cookie and user agent, all these headers and its value. So if you highlight this request and see the bytes size, so you will find here 870 bytes of data exist here. So we need to specify here something like this, at least this amount of data you need to capture. Okay, and we need to send the request, and once we send the request, we get 200. Okay, and then back to the browser, and as the lab mentioned that the victim user access the home page every 15 seconds, so you have to wait for the 15 seconds after sending the request. Then after 15 seconds, just refresh the home page. Nothing. We can do one more thing here. Let's add here cookie. Okay, cookie value. So after the host, let's take the session cookie from here, and this is gonna be our session cookie. So I'm gonna copy that and paste it here. Fine, that's okay, this could work. So let's just do it one more time. Send the request, wait for 15 seconds. Click on home button, invalid request, and you can see this time we get something. So west4 was our search term, so you can see it showing search term west4, then it takes the request. So this request contains session cookie or not? Yeah, there is session cookie, and if you match it, you will find our session cookie start with IV2 and end with BJG, but this session cookie is different. Also, we do not have the secret header in our request, but it contains secret header too. Also, if you see the user agent, you will find here it's mentioning victim. So this is custom created user agent, so that we can easily identify whether this is victim or our request. Fine, so we take the session cookie, which is this one. Okay, copy that, and then I'm gonna inspect, go to the storage, and change this session cookie to the victim session cookie. Okay, refresh the page and we solve the lab. Okay, and if you click on my account, you can see we are as Carlos user. The victim user is the Carlos user and you logged in with his user. So that's it for this video. I hope you understand it and you enjoy this, and make sure you put the session cookie here. Okay, fine. So that's it for this video. If you have any query, you can put your query in the comment section. I will respond to you as soon as possible, and see you in the next video. Bye.